This is The After Party, live with Kim McAllister. Pick a couch, grab a drink, and settle into the conversation.
Hey everybody, it is The After Party live on a Friday, which means we get Tim Sika today, and I always love to compare the reviews between Michael Snyder and Tim Sika and see who liked what. Kind of fun. So welcome to it. I hope you guys have a great weekend ahead. We've got a good show ahead of us. Hopefully I'm able to fit in a few stories before Tim Sika joins us. Thank you everyone for clicking the like button. I so appreciate you spending the time and clicking the like and doing all the things that help the show grow. Thank you so much for all the contributions on my birthday yesterday. I'm telling you guys, you really took care of me. You guys are so nice. So nice. Everyone from, let's see, I have Wes from today, Kim H, Karen K, Pamela K, Susan D, Lee and Eileen got your contribution yesterday, so thank you. Teresa, Wes, you guys, so nice. So thank you so much for the contributions and for all the birthday wishes. I really appreciate it. It's better than Facebook. You guys gave me a lot of love yesterday, so that was really nice. All right, let's jump into it, why don't we, and see if we can get some of these stories out. Do I need pre-show music, Josh? All right, I'll get something going. I don't know. Okay, first of all, I wanted to do this story about quicksand. Usually we talk about quicksand, we see it in the movies, you know, what the Raiders of the Lost Ark, the tent scene where someone might not make it out of the quicksand. Well, it turns out quicksand is a real concern. Who knew that quicksand was a trouble spot? On a beach in New England, this woman got trapped in quicksand. Trapped is kind of a loose term. She sank down to her hips into quicksand on this beach in New England. She said, I couldn't feel the bottom. I couldn't find my footing. This happened, this woman is from Maine, and she was walking on this very popular beach. It's called Popham Beach State Park, and sunk down into her hip. She said it happened in a split second. She let out a scream. She told her husband, I can't get out. And she couldn't feel the bottom of this. Within seconds, her husband had pulled her from this sand trap. The sand filled back in, and they looked at each other and thought, what in the world just happened? Well, it turns out quicksand is what happened. Super saturated sand, a real thing. Even in Maine. So not only in the jungles or in, far-flung locales in the movies, but, it can happen at the beach, apparently. One of the things they want people to know, and here's the couple this happened to. One of the things that officials want people to know, there he is. That's a big guy. I'd want him yanking me out, too. They said, people who were caught in super saturated sand remain buoyant. So you won't sink down and your face gets covered. You will be able to float and wriggle yourself to safety. So just remember that if you get, if you drop down, that you can get yourself out. So it's okay. People hear the word quicksand and they think jungle movie. But the reality, according to the spokesperson for the Maine Department of Agriculture, Conservation, and Forestry, is you're not going under. In this case, they think climate change played a role in this episode at one of the state's busiest state park beaches. More than 225,000 people a year visit this beach, but they had a series of winter storms that rerouted a river that pours into the ocean and that softened the sand up in this area where beachgoers are more likely to walk. And so now they've gone out there with warning signs, trying to tell people, hey, you're going to sink if you step here. So this woman says this all happened so fast that she didn't really have time to be scared, but she's worried that if someone's alone and doesn't have someone to pull them out, or maybe a child drops in, that could really traumatize someone. So quicksand is a thing. Who knew? Wow. There's a kind of a cute video I have to show you about a bear that had this run-in with a sprinkler. It's kind of a cute little video. I don't think he liked it very much, but here's what happened when this bear had a little episode with this sprinkler. Here it is. You can see, first of all, he's like, oh, water, that's tasty. And then he's like, wait a minute. I don't think I like how that played out. Yeah. It's funny, my dog loves the sprinkler. She will jump in and out of it, try to attack the water with her mouth, and keeps going back for more. But I don't think the same thing happened with this bear. Got a little taste of it. Thinks, okay. Oh, now it hits him. Now he's away. So that's what happened when this bear had a little run-in with the sprinkler. Kind of a cute video caught on someone's Ring camera. There's another animal story I have for you, and I don't know if you're going to like this one very much. This is a story about the Joro spider. This spider flies, okay? The spider flies. I'm not joking. It jumps and it flies. Is it not enough to just have a spider on the wall? Now they have to fly at you? It's a venomous spider, about 4-inch long legs, and they say it doesn't pose major threats to humans, but I'm sorry, a flying venomous spider? I'm not going to go for that. It's continuing to invade the United States. These spiders were originally from Southeast Asia and were making their way up the East Coast, and they say they're expected to arrive in New York and New Jersey this summer. Fantastic. They did a peer-reviewed study on this Joro spider, and they found that this spider is spreading like wildfire, and they think it's here to stay. The species is now in Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, and Tennessee. Reports of it in Alabama, Maryland, Oklahoma, and West Virginia. They think it's going to be able to inhabit most of the eastern U.S., and its native range and comfort area matches up very well with most of North America. And so, barring any unforeseen circumstances, they expect the range of these things to continue expanding, likely to the north, and they've already seen some populations in Maryland as well. So the worry is that it would pose a challenge for native species and fragile ecosystems, but yeah, I think it poses a risk to me. It's a giant, venomous, flying spider. Come on now. I'm sure people in this area are not happy. There are concerns about the potential for Joro spiders to harm humans, especially if they feel threatened. Their venom isn't deadly, but can cause discomfort and allergic reaction in some individuals, and they're really hard to miss. They have a leg span of up to 4 inches. They're, as you can see in the picture, vibrant yellow and black. But what sets them apart is their ability to fly, which is a trait that most spiders don't have. Not exactly accurate flight, but they do this thing called ballooning, where they release silk threads into the air, which allows them to be carried in the wind. So, flying venomous spiders in the United States. Yeah, that's great. Can't wait for that. One more story until we get to Tim Sika. I have this story about this marriage and childbirth app. I'm not kidding you. This is in Tokyo, where they have real concerns because of the decrease in the numbers of babies being born and the numbers of people getting married. So they've created this app called the Tokyo Futari Story. The city hall creates this app. It's an effort to create couples, where apparently it's increasingly common to be alone. They have a word for it. It's called hitori, if you just decide that you don't want a partner and you want to be alone. I wouldn't think there was a problem with that. But I guess the problem is that they have fewer babies being born in this area. So the app requires a confirmation of identity, like a driver's license, your tax records to prove income, and a signed form that says you're ready to get married. So you can't go on this app, this marriage and childbirth app, unless you prove you are who you say you are and you're ready to rock and roll with the marriage and the babies. So marriage is on the decline in Japan. The country's birth rate fell to an all-time low. Last year, there were 474,000 marriages, down from 504,000 in 2022. The births were 727,000, down from 770,000. So they have a problem. They're trying to correct it. The reports say they also ask for your height, your job, your education, but the Tokyo City Hall says that's not true. That's not what we're asking. Anyway, that's what they're doing. They're trying to hook people up. The city is now in the business of getting married and getting pregnant. So there you go. All right. It is time now for At the Movies with Tim Sika. Woohoo! I welcome Tim Sika to the show. Hi.
Hi, Kim. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm calling in to your show, to the after party this week from Los Angeles. I'm in Los Angeles. Yeah, I'm here to support an event and to attend an event the Critics' Choice Association is doing. It's the first inaugural celebration of LGBTQ cinema and television, and people like Nathan Lane and George Takei are going to be honored, and it's going to be a fancy to do, and I'm here to attend that this evening. So you're getting our reviews from the movie capital of the world.
This is so exciting. You're so big time, Tim Sika. This is cool.
Yeah.
All right, should we jump right into it? Let's go for it.
Yeah.
The first movie you have is something I think that I might be interested in. I'll wait to hear what you have to say. It's called Longing.
Yeah, Longing. Longing. This first movie to get out of the way this week. Okay. Longing. Okay, Kim. Longing is a great example of a very interesting idea, incomprehensibly executed. And I'm going to try my hardest to be as nice as possible to this movie because it was clearly well-intentioned. But, most of us know that the best of intentions do not necessarily guarantee a good movie. So anyway, I said interesting idea. Okay. It has an interesting idea, this movie. Richard Gere plays this high-power corporate business mogul. And as the movie opens, he's arranging this meeting with it's either his ex-wife or his ex-girlfriend, whom he hasn't seen in 20 years. And at this meeting, his ex-wife or ex-girlfriend informs him that when they broke up 20 years ago, she discovered that she was pregnant and gave birth to his son. And this comes as a total shock to him. But then she just adds, and he died a couple of days ago in a car accident. So what this movie attempts to dramatize is that the Richard Gere character, in talking with people who knew his son and talking to the girl who was in love with his son and talking to his son's friends, et cetera, he, even though it's quote unquote too late, begins to formulate an idea as to who his dead son was and who he was to other people and who knew him and the people that were in his life. And I think that's I like that idea. But it's almost impossible to convey to anybody tuning into the after party right now. Mm-hmm. Those tuning in, those watchers and listeners to your show who have not as yet seen this movie because it opens today, just how cringy, ridiculous, and absurdly contrived this movie actually is. So what am I saying? God. In other words, the badness of this movie can only be experienced. And must be seen to be believed. And the acting is terrible too, not because these are bad actors, but they're bad because of the way in which they're directed. And this film was directed by an Israeli filmmaker named Savi Gabizon, and this Longing movie is an English language remake of his 2017 movie, which I believe was in Hebrew. Anyway, I've been trying to figure out why it's so bad, and what I came up with is it's bad because it depends on this notion of magical realism, and it uses magical realism tropes to tell its story, right? But instead of making a magical realist movie, they went strictly for realism. And as a result, the tropes become literalized. And so when these actors utter these lines and do these scenes in a realistic manner, you can't roll your eyes high enough into your forehead fast enough. The idea of this father who never knew his son, but who comes to know his son through death, is a potentially very touching and moving idea. Unfortunately, with every plot revelation, every unfolding of a new episode, the film just gets more and more ludicrous. And we're being asked to accept one improbable situation in line of dialogue and speech. The characters do lots of speechifying. We're asked to accept one improbable situation after another. This is just one example. Okay, you're sitting down, Kim, I see. That's good.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, a wedding. Okay, a wedding. An actual wedding of the dead son and a dead woman who the dead boys never met is actually planned by the dead boys' parents and ritualistically executed. And I believe that this was meant to be the high point of this picture. Try and wrap your head around that one. Anyway.
That's really confusing, but okay, yeah.
Yeah, best of intentions, but a truly terrible movie. I never say this to people. I tell people, don't listen to me. If what I say sounds interesting, check it out anyway. But I'm saying here for the record, don't waste your time, folks. It's probably, no, not probably. It is thus far the absolute worst film of the year.
Wow. So it's a Razzie candidate, huh?
Yes. A Razzie candidate. Is probably going to win them all this year. Yeah.
Next one is Hitman, and this one's on Netflix today, right?
Yeah. It's on Netflix today. We'll move on to something better here and cleanse the palate, so to speak. Okay, Hitman is a romantic dark comedy from writer-director Richard Linklater, whose movies are always cause for celebration and film buff enthusiasm. Linklater co-wrote and directed Hitman, which stars Glenn Powell, who plays a full-time psychology and philosophy college teacher who moonlights on the side as a part-time undercover police contractor with the New Orleans Police Department undercover as a quote-unquote reliable hitman, with the goal of, he sets these people up. These people are sort of filtered to him with the goal of, he's supposed to, his goal in being this fake hitman is to get these people set up and arrest them who are trying to hire this guy, as a hitman to kill another person. A full-blown undercover murder stopper, as his wife describes him to him at one point. And this is actually based on a true story. The character depicted here, his name was Gary Johnson, and he's played by Glenn Powell. He was a real guy, and the screenplay is based on this real guy, as reported on in this Texas Monthly Magazine article of the same name. And it's a terrific movie. It's funny, it's smart, it's provocative. It's got all kinds of interesting twists and turns and ideas kicking around. And it's peppered with a lot of philosophical musings and observations by people like Nietzsche, for one. And it entertains this question, can people really change? And it, quote unquote, submits for our approval, as Rod Serling used to write in many of those Twilight Zone introductions, notions of personal transformation, seizing the identity you want for yourself with passion and abandon and living that identity. It almost makes a convincing argument for openly living one's fantasies. I don't know about that one, but like I say, it's provocative and it tosses around all those ideas. It really makes you think, but it's primarily an entertainment. And it's at times arguably, it stretches credulity, let's say, but not enough to make you abandon the narrative, what's actually going on and unfolding on screen. And the relationship that develops between this main character, the hitman of the title, played by Glenn Powell, who also co-wrote the screenplay, by the way, and one of the women he sets up here, played by Adria Arjona, who wants to hire him to kill her jealous and obsessive husband. It's a cross between mesmerizing and mesmerizingly sick, the relationship that develops between these two people. The acting is great, the writing is great, the direction is great. It's a smart, funny, and clever comedy for adults. And how often do we get to come by one of those?
Love it. Okay.
Yeah. Terrific, and it streams on Netflix beginning today.
The next one is Solo.
Solo, yes. This is a movie being released during Pride Month, 2024. It's a French-Canadian film called Solo, and it's a romantic drama of sorts, I guess is the best way to classify it. And it tells the story of a young and by young I mean late 20s or early 30 something, emerging drag queen in Montreal, Quebec, who becomes kind of sucked into a passionate but complicated romance, in my opinion, a dysfunctional one, with this other guy in his drag troupe, while at the same time trying to navigate a relationship with his sister and, most importantly, a reunion with his estranged mother, whom he has not seen since she left Canada 15 years earlier to pursue her career as an opera singer. And it's a good movie. It's a very good movie. Solo is. It's not only a compelling drama about the need and the search we all have for love, for example. It's a tale of self-empowerment and also a very colorful and vivid evocation of the Montreal drag scene. I mean, there's lots of drag numbers here and production numbers in Solo that are really great fun to watch. Vivid is the way I would describe them, and also this movie, and also the characters, all in whom we develop a rooting interest. So yeah, we get all of these colorful drag routines in addition to this interesting story about this guy and his relationships with his family. And yeah, it's a terrific movie. It's perfect for Pride Month and actually any time of the year. I think what's interesting, you know, we get all of these colorful drag routines in addition to the story about this guy and these relationships that he's in, but it also dramatizes how easily I think it is for any of us, regardless of where we might find ourselves on the Kinsey scale, how easily it might be for any one of us to find ourselves in a kind of a soul-killing relationship, and what's required of us to ultimately extricate ourselves from that toxic relationship. So, terrific movie, really good, very entertaining, and very relatable too.
I think that spans gender, right? It doesn't matter what gender you are. Everybody has that capability to find themselves in a place they don't want to be.
Right. We're all people at the end of the day. Right. Yep.
This next one is Treasure. And I'm kind of find the storyline that you listed compelling.
Yeah. Another interesting movie that there's that word again. Interesting. Another interesting movie. Treasure is the film. And they're calling it a tragic comedy, and it's based on a novel called Too Many Men by Lily Brett, and it takes place in Warsaw, 1991. And it's the story of an American journalist, played by Lena Dunham, who travels to Poland with her father, played by the always great Stephen Fry, to visit the places where he grew up. And her father happens to be a Holocaust survivor. So, you know, do the math on that one. Many of these places like Auschwitz, where the daughter wants to go visit with her father, for obvious reasons, her father is kind of comically avoiding going. And that's an interesting dynamic that's going on in the movie. But we really find out, and no surprise here, that he's only doing that to hide the deep scars that any Holocaust survivor would be sustaining, because, you know, as history tells it, what was it? 3 million Polish Jews, I think, were murdered during the Nazi occupation of Poland in a bunch of the camps there, the most notorious ones being Treblinka and Auschwitz. And so yeah, what's interesting about Treasures is its premise. A daughter wanting to know more about her father and her recently deceased mother, not only about where they grew up, but also about what happened to them when the Jews of Poland were being rounded up for the slaughter. So back to interesting scenes, cogently dramatic moments, for example, moments and scenes which, if looked at individually, you might think, and you said it, Kim, this looks compelling. You'd say, for example, well, if you saw them in a movie preview trailer, you might go, well, this looks like a movie I might want to see.
Sure.
But the problem with Treasures for me was that not a whole lot of these really compelling scenes and these compelling moments were particularly tied together particularly well. So we get this mix of good moments with scenes where you go, well, I think this is a good movie. I kind of like this movie. I like this story that looks like it's something that will live up to its promise of you know, being compelling. But it just, I don't know, nothing meshes in the movie. And the result is as though the movie feels like something is either off or that something is, you know, missing. It's a different kind of Holocaust drama in that much of it, due to Stephen Fry's larger-than-life performance, he's fantastic in the movie. He's amusing and he's kind of sweet. And far be it from me to shy anybody away from a Holocaust drama. But if I were to be honest, Treasures doesn't quite all come together. But it comes together enough, I suppose, for a recommendation. So I had issues with it, but audiences might like it. So I'm gonna give it a kind of like a qualified recommendation.
Okay.
It's in theaters.
Lastly, you have The Great Lillian Hall.
Yeah, The Great Lillian Hall. Yeah, I love that poster. It's a drama, and it's directed by Michael Christopher, who received the Pulitzer Prize for drama and the Tony Award for Best Play for a play called The Shadow Box in 1977. And he also played the role of the director of the movie, played the role of Philip Price in the television series Mr. Robot. And anyway, here he directs this movie about a place and an institution and a person and a profession, both of which he is obviously familiar, the theater and acting and actors. And in this case, a fictional actress named Lillian Hall, who is played magnificently by Jessica Lange. And the plot is pretty simple. Lillian Hall's powers of memorization, which are essential, of course, to the profession to which she has dedicated her entire life, acting in the theater, are becoming gradually diminished due to a form of dementia, which is obviously impacting her abilities to perform. So this is basically a character study about a famous stage actress appearing in a production of Chekhov's The Cherry Orchard, and her slow sort of succumbing to this dementia. And apparently the film was loosely inspired by and even more loosely based upon the great American stage actress Marion Seldes, who was the aunt, just happened to be the aunt of the screenwriter Elizabeth Seldes Annacone, who in fact wrote this movie. And I'm not going to go where I think this movie falls short. I had issues with some of the editing, for one, and some of the writing was a tad less than I think it could have been. And there were scenes where Lillian was musing with her dead husband, who's played by Pierce Brosnan, by the way, which tended to bog the narrative down a bit. But Jessica Lange delivers a towering, monumental performance that makes you forget any flaws you think may be frittering about in this movie. She's absolutely breathtaking and brilliant and heartbreaking all at once. And as this once great actress slowly and intermittently, loses control of everything that made her a great actress, I mean, your heart just breaks for her, because she has these moments where she's totally elusive and on point, and then the disease kind of kicks in. I think all aspiring actors, anyone interested in great acting, to watch Jessica Lange here is just another reminder of how great an actress she is, and how an even greater actress she can be with meaty parts like Lillian Hall. So on that basis alone, I wholeheartedly recommend The Great Lillian Hall. It's now streaming on Max, on HBO Max.
Oh, HBO Max. Okay. It's a lot of times you have these wonderful actresses that never get a part like this, because you get movies that have roles for younger women, but not really good roles for older women. So to have this vehicle for her to kind of showcase what she can do is, I would say, rare.
Yeah, unless you're Meryl Streep. I mean, Meryl Streep. In fact, I believe, or I read somewhere, that Meryl Streep was actually considered for this role, and I don't know why she turned it down. Maybe she was just too busy. I mean, she's always in every movie these days. But yeah, no, it's great when parts like this are being written, and yeah, it gives great actresses who we may think aren't what they used to be or whatever, a chance to really show off their stuff. And it's interesting about this performance, there's nothing actorly about it. I mean, it's just like you're watching this real person. A lot of times with roles where you have to portray a disease or an affliction, you can kind of see sometimes the wheels, click, 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 ticking. You can see the little actorly things performers do. You don't see any of that here with Jessica Lange. She is just, I hear she's been nominated for this, or I think what they did was push the movie out quicker than they might have in order for it to qualify for an Emmy nomination. If there's any justice, she will win the Emmy for Best Actress in a motion picture drama. I can't say enough good about what she does here. It's great and it's wonderful and beautiful acting,
Okay.
beautiful. Yeah.
All right, I'm going to recap it. Here we have, the first one was Longing. You said it's the worst film of the year, and don't bother. Don't even go there. No.
Yeah, no, it's pretty bad.
The next one you said, Hitman, you enjoyed it. And you said that it's smart and funny and clever movie for adults, and you recommend, and it's streaming on Netflix today.
Yes.
Yeah. Solo, you called it a good movie, and you said it's vivid.
Yeah,
So,
vivid is the best way to describe Solo. Yeah.
and that's a recommendation. Treasure, you said it falls short, that it feels like something is missing, that it had issues, but you recommend it with the qualifier that you say there's something missing from this movie. So.
Yeah, it's an unusual Holocaust drama, and I think on that basis alone, I think it's worth seeing. I don't think it's a great movie, but I do think it's worth seeing, just for Stephen Fry's performance, for one. Yeah.
As for the great Lillian Hall, you say Jessica Lange is incredible. This is streaming on HBO Max, and you said you highly recommend it.
Right, and there she is in all those panels. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Tim Sika, you've done it again from Los Angeles.
From Los Angeles. I didn't know if I was going to be able to pull this off, Kim, but I'm glad.
Look at you go.
Yeah.
You're amazing.
Yeah.
And you're going, is there some big critics dinner tonight? Some big thing that you're doing?
Right. It's a Critics' Choice inaugural celebration in honor of Pride Month, LGBTQ.
Okay, cool.
Cinema and television. So Nathan Lane's going to be honored. George Takei is going to be honored. And there's going to be some celebrities there presenting awards to these people in recognition of their careers. So, yeah,
so
there's
cool.
a dinner and everything. Yeah.
If you take pictures, then we maybe can show them next week, but have a really good time.
Okay, thanks. I don't do pictures of me, but whatever. I'll think about it.
All right, okay, Tim. Have a great time. Bye-bye.
Yeah, thanks, Tim. Oh, and happy birthday. Your birthday was yesterday. Happy belated.
Thank you. You're so nice.
Talk to you next week. Okay, bye-bye.
Bye. That is At the Movies with Tim Sika, and I just enjoy my time with him every week. Nice to see that he's in Los Angeles having fun. All right, let's move on to some other stories because I do have some more for you. And this one, in honor of Florida on this Friday, there's some mastodon tusks found off the coast of Florida. Yeah, kind of a cool story. This fossil hunting diver says he has found a large selection of mastodon tusks right off the coast of Florida. They're I guess right off the Gulf Coast there. He thought it was a piece of wood. Turns out, no, it's not. It was something more rare, a large section of tusk from a long extinct mastodon. The diver's name is Alex Lundberg. He had a companion diver as well. He said they found fossils in the same place before, including mammoth teeth, bones of an ancient jaguar, and parts of a dire wolf. He said they also found small pieces of mastodon tusk, but nothing this big or intact. It does kind of look like wood, doesn't it? But I guess after being down there for so long, it kind of gets a little weathered. He said, we knew there could be one in the area. And he kept fanning away sand from this tusk, and it just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And finally, he's like, here's the tusk. This is what it is. It's about 4 feet long, weighs about 70 pounds. He found it at a depth of about 25 feet, and it was just off the coast of Venice, Florida. At this point, it's sitting in a glass case in his living room, but I don't know what they're going to do with it exactly. Under Florida law, fossils of vertebrates found on state lands, which include nearshore waterways, belong to the state under the authority of the Florida Museum of Natural History. He does have a permit to collect fossils, but he has to report the findings to the museum when his permit is renewed. And so the museum then has to review the discoveries and determine their significance, and they then decide whether the fossil holder or the permit holder can keep the fossils if they don't request them within 60 days of reporting. So that's how that works. So they think it might be a significant finding depending on where exactly it was collected. This diver has a marine biology degree from the University of South Florida, and he's optimistic that they're going to let him keep this tusk. I don't know if they will or not. We'll see. How about the story about the mummies? Oh, there's a Mexican government has this large collection of mummies. It's in Guanajuato, and they have their famous mummified 19th century bodies. And they were renovating their museum when the mummified bodies are on permanent display, when the arm of one of these mummies came right off. Oops. The reason they have these mummies is because I guess they had it's all about the dignified treatment of corpses that were buried around the early 1800s. And they started to dig them up in the 1860s because families couldn't pay the burial fees. And so they have these bodies that are apparently the bodies of poor people. And they've been on this grisly looking display in glass cases in this museum in Guanajuato, and available for tourists just to pass by and see them. They say it's a national patrimony and a tourist attraction. And they are demanding now an accounting of what the permits and procedures are following museum renovations because of the arm coming off of one of these mummies. The events confirm, according to the ruling party, which is the Conservative National Action Party that holds power at the federal level, which I guess is some type of odds with the folks that handle the museum. They say these events confirm the way the museum's collection was moved is not the correct one, that far from applying proper corrective and conservation strategies, the actions carried out resulted in damages not only to this body. What else were the damages? I don't know. The preserved corpses were unintentionally mummified when they were buried in crypts in a dry, mineral-rich soil environment in the mining state of Guanajuato. Some of them still have hair, leathery skin, their original clothing, this type of thing. But the mummies were mostly dug up before this museum was founded in 1939, and they're under local control, which really makes the federal officials mad because the federal officials want the power over it. Anyway, there's a power struggle and a broken mummy. What a bummer. And I kind of icked out by the fact that they're showing these dead people to tourists, dead people that had families that couldn't pay the bills. No. In the Amazon rainforest, they, I guess in an effort to try to bring Wi-Fi everywhere to everyone, they have Wi-Fi for an indigenous tribe. And they've had quite a few problems with this. They have this Starlink internet access. And some of the parents in this tribe, the Marumbo indigenous tribe, feel like their kids are becoming lazy and hooked on social media. The village is of about 2,000 indigenous people, and they say young people have gotten lazy because of the internet, and they are learning the ways of the white people. But they carried this satellite to the villages here. They say satellite internet service has saved lives during emergency medical situations. It's connected tribe members to faraway families. It's bettered education in this area as well. And the Marumbo indigenous tribe carried internet antennas to this remote village about 9 months ago. So 9 months later, they realize, what did we do? It's changed their routine so much that it's detrimental, according to one tribe member who spent decades in the outside world and was the one that pushed for internet access to the remote village. In the village, if you don't hunt or fish or plant stuff and harvest it, then you just don't eat. The same tribe members say they don't want to see the internet disappear. Instead, they want to impose limits on when it can be accessed. 2 hours in the morning, 5 hours in the evening, and all day on Sunday. And that's it. So that the young people there maintain their traditions. Because some people just want to spend the whole afternoon on their phone on the internet. I can relate, right? I mean, who wants to work when you can just lounge around and goof off? One tribal leader said he's most upset by young tribal men watching porn. This tribe, they don't even kiss in public. They have some very strict rules. They say that we're worried young people are going to want to try this, that they've seen more aggressive sexual behavior from young men in the village. So they thought that a handheld device would connect the tribe with the rest of the world for the good of the people. And there were also worries from others that in the end there would be war. Now they think this internet connection has brought more good than harm. And they say there's no going back now. It's like once you open that can of worms, there you are. And that's it. Can we talk about this high school prank? Gotta love a good high school prank. Well done, class of 2024. This prank was carried out in a little town in Maryland. And they put up a sign, the kids did, that said, "Coming soon, Trader Joe's." What? So everyone in this small town in Maryland, Arnold, Maryland, thinks that a Trader Joe's is coming to town. And if you're in a tiny town, it's a big deal because then you don't have to drive to go to, wherever you're going to go. Trader Joe's is coming to town. This is going to be great. So people are all excited about it. People fell for it, hook, line, and sinker. Extremely excited, one person described. When I put the post up on the internet, it blew up immediately. Everybody's so excited. We're getting a Trader Joe's locally. The sign was posted. The yellow banner was posted on a road as well, saying, "Coming soon, Trader Joe's in the spring of 2025. There was even a QR code. The nearest Trader Joe's to them is about a half hour away. So within about 24 hours, the class fessed up. They said, it's a prank. Northeast High School was behind it. It's a senior prank. When people looked up the QR code, it led them to a song. So, but people were thinking is pretty creative and pretty funny. And at first they were sad that they weren't getting a Trader Joe's, but they said the kids pulled off a pretty good prank because the whole town thought that a Trader Joe's was coming. That's pretty good. All right, let's end it with the lotto of the day. This one, I'm telling you, gifting a lottery ticket is always a risk. This woman got a lottery ticket from her daughter. She said she's not a regular lottery player, but her daughter gave her a $5 Gold Rush Sevens Tripler scratch-off ticket. And she scratched it off, and she wasn't sure if it was a winner, but she thought it was because she's doesn't usually play this. But the daughter looked the ticket over and pointed out that she matched a number to win a $50,000 prize. She thought her daughter was pranking her, speaking of pranks. She said she was still shocked when she was told, "No, you really did win $50,000. She said, "I'm flabbergasted." The woman's daughter said she doesn't normally like to give lottery tickets as gifts because she's paranoid about giving away a winner that she could have kept for herself. But she said she doesn't regret giving this one to her mom. She deserves it because she's my mom and she's done a lot for me, she said. So there. Yeah, you got to be careful about giving away lottery tickets. I'm telling you. I have one more story. I think I can squeeze it in. This is a story about, I have some video to show you with this one. This is a story about a skydiver who dropped his cell phone, and boy, did it ever fall and fall and fall. All right, I'll show you this video because the man who dropped his phone was video recording when he let go of it. And so you can see what happens here. Here we go. Oh, why isn't it playing? Oh no, maybe I can't do. Here it is.
Kind of paint that never fades. Now, we don't often get excited about paint. This story is different, though. I promise. It also repels heat, and it could substantially lower our power bills.
Nope.
See? It's wings. A lot of you may say, well, obviously
No.
it's blue.
That's just the wrong
But it
story
actually has
altogether. Doesn't work. I guess I'm not doing the last story. Well, we have something to look forward to on Monday. I'll get myself together and tell you how far the cell phone fell and what happened to it, how crazy it is. All right. It is time to end the show, and I hope you have a really, really good weekend. I have a high school graduation tonight. My niece, Ashlyn, is graduating from Technology High School in Rohnert Park, so I'm so excited to go. She's really worked so hard, and I'm so proud of her, and so I'm looking forward to hearing her name called. Really, really cool. But I hope you have a great weekend, and if you have a graduating relative, then have a good time at the graduation, because it is graduation season, and I will see you back here on Monday. Have a really good weekend, everyone. Make it a good one. Bye-bye.
The After Party Live would like to thank the following contributors and viewers like you.